All right, technical session number 1. This will be the first of 50 technical sessions we'll be going over throughout the course. And this particular one, we're going to be going over the introduction to the industry, roles, different pathways you can pursue. Basically trying to figure out where it is you want to end up and start working backwards through that path to see what steps you need to take to try to get there in that direction, what certifications you need, what roles you need to try to be looking for so that you can always be moving towards that overall goal you have for yourself. So the objectives for this particular course, we're going to be describe some of the opportunities and potential pathways for IT professionals and the value of being trained for an IT role. Bear in mind, some of these numbers are going to be a little bit outdated, but it will get the point across. Explain the primary responsibilities of an IT professional and how those may play out in a given day. Also, we're going to want to articulate the importance of getting to know the guidelines and norms within any employer organization. So, all right. Now, I know we haven't gone over these yet. We will be going over 2 BSMs today after we go over our technical session. But for this particular course, this T session, the 2 BSMs we want to keep in mind, behavior skill is adaptability. That is pretty key within the IT field as it is constantly growing, changing, moving, and new things are coming up daily. We need to be able to shift our perception, our understanding, to be able to better grasp it, to solve problems, and to be able to help our teammates within this field. Also, future orientation. Hopefully that's why we're all here. We're looking to the future saying, in 5 years, I want to be here. Today, I am here. But I know IT is a hugely growing field. I am super excited about learning about cloud technologies and stuff like that, and I want to get into cloud. So in 5 years, I want to be a cloud engineer, hopefully making pretty good money and still pursuing longer term goals, but these are my short to mid terms. So we want to keep our eyes to the future and make actions today that are pushing us towards that future. So, question to the gallery, and raise your hand. What do you already know about being an IT professional?
I already worked as a QA analyst for a few years, so I am good in software testing. Okay. Applications in different field, and I also did the mobile testing. Okay. So I know the flow of how the IT professionals workflow. Okay. And I have a good customer service. I had a good work working through the team and as a single person.
Excellent.
So I have a little bit experience in IT. Yeah. I'm not new to it.
Understood.
Thank you, sir.
No problem. So you're testing for end user experience and letting them know any issues with it. If you click here, then click here, the system crashes or something like that. So you were looking for bugs, stress testing it, see if it was okay, sir. If it can handle whatever situations. That actually was my first delve into it. I was working for a logistics company and they were bringing in new software, and they literally brought a few of us into the room and said, run this through every scenario you can think of, document it, see if you can break it. And so that's what we did. It was very rudimentary the first time we did it, but this around the second round, they got a lot more systematic, said, okay, here's all the scenarios you need to run, and we need to try them systematically and see if the system can handle it. So I appreciate that. Anyone else? Okay, Emily, I like that. Yes,
Sir,
Kevin.
sir, did you ask me?
No, I was asking the group as a whole.
Okay, okay, sir.
No worries. Yes, Kevin.
The only IT experience I have is helping my mom navigate computers during the pandemic when she had to work remotely.
I get you. I get you. A lot of us got thrust into that that lifestyle at that point.
Funny enough, it's actually what sparked my interest into becoming some sort of professional in it.
Nice. Sometimes it is just a key moment or a key thing that's just like, you know what, I actually enjoy doing this. I like that. Well done.
Hi. Sorry, my baby's fussy.
No worries.
I worked as an IT, what was it called? IT personnel.
Oh, you muted.
Was into troubleshooting and
Okay.
then reinstalling of Windows and stuff. Then just basic IT stuff, not deep, not the complicated ones, like
Okay.
reboots and then reinstalling of Windows and
So essentially like tier 1 help desk.
crimping of cables
Okay.
back then. But that was a
Nice.
long time ago.
Gotcha. All right, last one. Mohammed.
Yes, for me, I like to tinker with anything that's electronic based.
Okay.
Yes. So when it came to computers, the first computer that I bought is from a store, and then I said, you know what? Maybe I should start building my own systems. So I started going to computer shows. I live in the Bronx. They used to have computer shows at Lehman College. So I'll go there, buy components, come home, put them together, and the system worked fine. So I was like, this is something I would like to do somewhere down the road.
Nice. So you actually had that base interest coming in, because remember, how do we become successful in IT? Does anybody remember?
You have to have something that piques your interest, something you're interested in,
Yes.
something you like to do.
We need to be interested in IT, because if we're interested, we're going to make the time for it. We're going to do the extra work. We're going to do the research. We're going to try to be on top of it because it's something that really interests us. I like it. So what, in general, excites you about the idea of getting into IT? We'll take like 2 or 3 real quick. So what about this excites you? Like makes you like, why you're getting up early in the morning, coming here and working through this all day? Osa.
Yes, for me, it's the opportunity to learn about emerging technologies and just the new generation of technologies coming out, and of course the money is exciting.
Hopefully that wasn't your why, because that was the caveat we had.
No, like
no,
so,
I get you, man. I get you. I
yeah,
I love technology, and the money ain't bad either.
yeah, it's not
Yeah.
bad.
I get you. All right, Shamika, what excites you about this?
Cybersecurity. I really want to go into cybersecurity. That's why I want to know how everything works, the mechanics, how to protect it. That's what really excites me. So.
Must be a kindred spirit of mine, Shamika. I love cybersecurity myself. So, and I think DW said towards the end of the class, last cohort, that it sometimes seemed like the class was a case study on developing paranoia, because I started explaining to people, some of the ins and outs with regards to cybersecurity, and people tend to get a little worried when we talk about it. So, but it's an amazing field. There's a lot of really interesting stuff in there, if that's what you want to pursue. Ebony.
What excites me about this program is this profession, I mean, is learning new stuff. I'll be able to know what my kids are doing because they are tech savvy, which I don't know how that happened. And I feel like I'm lost. So it would be good to know that I know a little bit about computers and different softwares and probably how to install them and different things like that without asking a 13 and 11-year-old.
Well, kids are intuitive learners, especially I think under the age of 10. They learn through immersion and trial and error and things like that. And they pick things up very quickly. It's how they learn languages without really understanding grammatical systems and sentence structure and all that fun stuff. They just kind of get it over time. It's the way your brain is wired initially. So growing up in a society where they're completely surrounded and immersed in technology at all times, yeah, it's hard to keep up with that sometimes. I agree. So on the flip side of that coin, what makes you nervous about this profession? What about this profession, makes you uneasy or nervous? Yes, Ebony.
Not getting it, just not understanding what my instructor is saying or what my peers are talking about and or what I'm reading. That's what I'm nervous about.
You will have an epiphany moment throughout this course, and it will be sometime where you go to like, I don't know, like one of your big box stores, or you go to a Best Buy, or you're looking something up online and you're seeing the product description, and all of a sudden, all the little acronyms and stuff they're saying on there makes complete sense. Almost everybody seems to have that epiphany about halfway through the course, like, oh, it makes sense now. We had one young lady who was like, I kept telling my husband that not all cables were the same. And like, then he realized that, they had this top-notch home theater system, but they were using garbage cables. So like none of the stuff came through actually high definition or any of that stuff, because he was just like, oh, that's just them trying to get more money out of you. And for this, the whole time they thought their system was bad when it was just the cables. And they ended up going out and buying some high-end cables, completely fixed their entire system because they were able to understand the throughputs and all that stuff within the on the packaging, and it made a lot more sense at that point. So trust me, understanding does come in time. Yes, Shamika.
It was pretty much what Ebony said.
Okay. Excellent. Rebecca, did you have your hand up too?
I did, but I raised it up. Makes me nervous because it has been a long time since I left the school. So the understanding the IT words by itself, it makes me nervous to understand it.
Well, trust me when I say, when you look around your classroom, you're not alone. You have a bunch of people here that are going to support you, help you. You'll help them. And over time, we will get through it.
Thank you.
No worries. Kevin.
The only thing that makes me nervous is like finding exactly what profession, like part of the profession I want to go into. From what it sounds, it's not just, it's not just IT specialists. There's a lot of subcategories in there, and that does seem a little bit overwhelming, is finding what exactly to go into specifically.
And I can see that. And a lot of times you can tie it into whatever careers you were into prior. Like I was in logistics. If I really wanted to, I could take my IT knowledge into logistics and apply it there, because it would be very rare in that industry for somebody who is developing programs or working in the IT field that actually has a full understanding as to what operations goes through on a day-to-day basis. So, you can magnify your value by applying it to previous experience. So don't discount that. You might have said like, you know what, maybe I was, like I was in the nursing industry, I was a nurse for a while and it was just so stressful. I don't want to deal with that again. I'm done. But being an IT professional in the healthcare industry is extremely valuable.
Mm.
And having an understanding of how the hospitals operate from an administrative level, extremely valuable things. So it may not seem like it to you that, your previous experience will be of any value or any help, but it absolutely is. Things like customer service. IT people are not necessarily known for being people persons. So if you have a heavy experience in customer service, that makes you very valuable in the IT industry. So prior experience can be a major boon.
Yep. I definitely have plenty of customer service. I've worked retail up until this point, so.
There you go. So I'm sure you've worked with irate customers, you've worked with wonderful customers, you worked with all manner of people, and that makes you a lot more of an asset in IT, because unfortunately, like I said, there is that stigma of the IT professional who just does not know how to talk to people or deal with people or anything like that. Customer service tends to be on the low end. They're there for their tech skills. If you can bring tech skills and people skills, that puts you on another level.
Good to know. Alrighty.
All right. Ogali, take one more.
Yes, good morning. Yeah, I got novice, but I think in my head that how am I gonna be getting things done, get to understand what I'm gonna be reading and what we're gonna be doing in our classes. So I don't just know, I'm just a novice.
Okay. Honesty, I like it. Hopefully we can alleviate some of those nerves over time and keep trying to stoke that excitement about this industry, because there is so much out there to learn. And it's one of those fun things where if you're one of those people that really finds it interesting and wants to dive into it, me diving into cybersecurity, the more I learn, the more questions I have, the more interesting it becomes. Unfortunately, paranoia gets up there too, because you start realizing, how many threats are out there. But it's a very exciting field. I love learning more about it. I actually actively go around and look for new sources of information on a pretty regular basis on it, just because it's become my hobby to a degree. So.
Thank you.
All right. So real quick, should be able to see a typing field on it. What does information technology itself mean for you?
I'm sorry, Mr. K, what was the question again?
Well, you should see a typing field on your screen. It says, what does information technology mean to you?
Am I writing this on a piece of paper?
No, they should be able to type it in on your screen.
I don't.
It's not allowing.
No, it doesn't
Not
allow.
allowing?
No.
Uh-oh. All right. We'll bypass that one for now. Think
It
about
does.
Actually, it does. I
Oh,
saw
now
a
it does?
cursor. Yeah, I
It
saw a
was,
cursor.
we were doing it.
I saw
Oh,
a
okay.
cursor.
Tell me
Probably
how to
they
do
didn't.
it.
Did you open the
Yeah,
web?
you guys have to
Yeah,
put
you
in that
won't be able
link
to
in the
type
chat.
on the screen that I'm sharing. You have to have the link open in another screen, and that's the one you're going to be interacting with.
Oh, Nick part. Okay.
That would be the Nearpod link.
All
So,
right, I was just saying the best thing to do, guys, is to minimize the session here, the Zoom session, and just open Nearpod by itself. If you only have one screen, I think that's the problem.
yeah, that happens sometimes. So, in general, information technology, or IT, is the field of computers in general, their operation and their maintenance. So pretty straightforward, succinct definition for it. Now, facts from the Bureau of Labor Statistics. This is going back to think 2015, 2016 is when this was put together. Employment, computer and IT occupations projected to grow 13%. I think that number is actually much higher now, especially with more people working from home, and the need for IT specialists, especially on the remote level, has rapidly expanded over the last 2 or 3 years. Roughly expected to add about 500,000 jobs, from about 3.9 million total to 4.4 million from 2014 to 2024. Because in large part, a significantly greater emphasis on cloud computing. So in the collection and storage and analysis of big data. More everyday items are becoming connected to the internet. You'll hear the term Internet of Things, or IoT, being thrown around a lot. And it is an ever growing and high demand field. Some of it makes sense, some of it doesn't. I don't know why I need a Bluetooth connection to my toaster, but you know, it's there if I want it. I can understand the stove because, you know, if you're one of those people that leave the house and like, oh my gosh, did I leave the stove on? You can connect to your home network and see if it's on. That's a nice thing. I do appreciate that. These are great things, allow us to essentially begin the development of what are called smart homes, but unfortunately also create a lot more of a risk to our networks. We'll talk about a little bit later. There was a casino in Las Vegas that ended up getting their databases hacked, and the gateway they used to get into the system was through a thermometer in one of the fish tanks.
Wow.
They were able to bypass the very, very light security on the thermometer, get into the servers, and then they were in. They bypassed all the security by using an object that was on the Internet of Things. So there are bonuses and downfalls. So median annual wage for a computer IT occupation in 2016, so was it 6 years ago roughly at this point, $82,800. So that's about the middle of the road salary for somebody in the IT field. Median annual wage for everybody else, roughly around $37,000. My warning to a lot of you is don't pursue a particular aspect of IT just because the median salary is higher. Because if it's something you're not interested in, one, you're not going to like your job, which means you're likely not going to be interested in it, which means you're not likely going to want to pursue it heavily and become better at it. So you won't, you know, push into those higher echelons and make those higher salaries. You go into one maybe with like $5,000 to $10,000 lower minimum salary, but it's something that, or median salary, but it's something you actually enjoy, you're actually interested in. You can crush that median salary because you're going to want to become better at it. You're going to want to learn more about it, and your interest will drive you to be better. So here's some entry-level careers. Obviously, some of these numbers have changed quite a bit. So help desk technician, tier 1. Typically, they want to see an A+, although A+ is typically more tier 2, tier 3 level, but they want to make sure, you know, you at least cut your teeth on tier 1 and are proficient. You can move out of tier 1 rather quickly. Tier 1 starting salary is roughly that 12 to 18, although again, this is from 2016. Nowadays, I believe it is significantly higher. You're probably looking at the $18 to $23 range for starting salaries. And obviously, for those of you who live in New York, that may be very different because of cost of living differentials that you guys have.
Indeed.
All right. So entry-level IT service specialist. Other ones you may come across. Here's one we were just talking about here briefly. Medical records and health IT technicians. And you complete, process, maintain, and report medical records. You also can be brought in to troubleshoot certain types of equipment within the hospitals. My partner I started out with ended up getting his dream job here in Jacksonville, working with the Epic Systems, which deals with radiology, x-ray, stuff like that, being an IT specialist for that. They brought him in as an IT specialist, and he was there for less than 3 months, hadn't even finished all of his exams, but he was doing so well, they gave him a 40% raise within the first 3 months. So they brought him in at X salary, which was really good to begin with, but he was doing so good, he was picking it up, 40% increase right there. And they said, when you're done with your certifications, there's going to be another increase because you'll be fully certified. And these are certifications that the hospital pays for. I think he had 3 exams he had to pass and then do a project. And once he did, he was fully certified. But before he even did that, 40% bump, and then there's going to be another bump on top of that when he's done. So coming in, doing various odd jobs, running through this program, networks, gets his dream job, and doing very well for himself, much higher than the expected salary on this particular one. But because he had a heavy interest in it. So then we talk about a job versus a career path. Who wants to try to explain the difference between those two? What is a job? What is a career path? Yes, Danielle.
A job is like when you just do something for the money. In my perspective, and a career path is like, this is something I want to do for long term. I guess a job is short term, and the career path is like, this is going to set me up. Somebody said they want to be security, what is that, cybersecurity? So it's like, I'm going to take these steps to get to this career. And then a job is like, I'm just doing this just because the money or whatever.
I like that answer, Danielle. I really do. Chevy.
I think that when people take on a job, it's something that they don't have in their mind anything for the future. Like, this is what I need for the moment, no matter what the reason it may be, location, money, whatever. But a career, you have like a set goal or like something in mind where you want that you're going to progress. So like that job is going to progress you somewhere. It may not be the job you have for 10 years, but you know, that's a path, a step in the path towards, you know, what you want to do. Like, it's always with a goal in mind.
Okay. I like that. So we haven't got into future orientation, but the name kind of says it. So how might having a strong future orientation mindset help you be more successful on your career path? Yes, Kevin.
Coming from someone who gets way too overwhelmed the more they think ahead, but basically, if you have an idea, no matter how obscure or how you know, vague it might be, if you have an idea of where you would like to be, and you have a determination to get there, you might be able to line out and pick your steps in order to get there. That's what it means from my perspective.
I like it. Shamika.
I feel like it can help you stay focused on what you want to do. Like if something comes up and you want to give up and quit, you could just stay focused on your future, your plans. So I think that's important.
I would agree with you. Kind of helps you keep your head in the game. 5 years, I want to be a system admin. What am I doing today that's going to help me be an admin in 5 years? I like it. So you'll see a document similar to this come up in your Canvas. And I encourage you to kind of walk through it. Think about it a little bit. What kind of careers in IT might interest you? Like, where do you want to see yourself in about 5-10 years? And then try to work backwards from that goal. Go on to LinkedIn, look for somebody that has the job that you want. See what career path they took to get there. See what certifications they needed to get, what kind of experience they needed to gather. Heck, send them a question. Like, I'm interested, in about 5 or 6 years being in a role similar to what you're in. Is there any advice you could offer with regards to pursuing certifications, types of roles I should be looking for to start out with? I mean, you'd be surprised at how often people are, very open to kind of tell you, like, yeah, here's what I did. Here's the kind of people I look for my team, which are people I'm going to be training to replace me when I leave. So a lot of times people will be open for, especially if you want to work for a specific company, start reaching out to people in that company, start building that network. So you want to start out at your entry level. So you got your entry level help desk support. This is, I'm going to cut my teeth in IT. I'm going to get all these basics out of the way, be able to troubleshoot effectively, put a lot of tools in my toolbox. While I'm doing that, I'm going to be knocking out my CompTIA certification in the next few months. After that, what am I going to do? Am I going to go for my Network Plus? Am I going to go for my CCNA? Am I going to start pursuing cloud? Can't really go for Microsoft certifications. They're not really around anymore, but they do have the Azure and stuff like that, which is their cloud services regardless. Then after that, I'm moving up to mid-tier. Within 6-8 months, I want to try to be a team leader of, my group in support services, or a supervisor. Or maybe I make such a good impression out of the gate that they pull me up to tier 2, tier 3. If they see I'm a person that really has a passion for this, I'm not the type of person that makes the same mistake repeatedly. That's not to say you're not going to make mistakes. You will. We all do. But the question is how do you act after that mistake is made? Do you take preventative action to prevent it from happening again? Or do you try to sweep it under the rug and blame it on others other than yourself? That is a big one as well. Yes, Danielle.
What's the difference between, I keep on hearing you say tier 1, tier 2, and tier 3. Is that just like the entry level you started, and then as you go up?
Well, what it is if you ever called tech support and the first person goes, thank you for calling IT. Have you tried turning it on and off again? Okay. Have you tried unplugging and plugging it back in? And they go through the basic troubleshooting steps. That's tier 1. Once they've gone through the basic questions, these are people usually who are very, very new to IT. And they're learning the troubleshooting steps. Usually you have some documentation where they can search through it and see, have these problems come up before? If they did, how were they resolved? And they're searching through that and walking you through a couple things to make sure the basics have been covered. You cover all the basics, they're still not able to solve it, then they hand you up to the next level, which is the more experienced, better troubleshooters, things like that. That's tier 2. You're going to see much more complicated problems. You're going to see a higher paycheck. That's tier 2. Then you move up to tier 3, you start getting into specialists. People who are specializing in networking, people who are specializing in securities, people who are specializing in, cloud. So you're starting to see more specialists when you get into tier 3. Again, the level of complication you're going to be dealing with goes up. So does the paycheck. So tier 1, tier 2, tier 3, that's where that's coming from. 80% of your support tickets are going to get hammered out by tier 1. You know, they're quick, easy problems to solve. They get taken care of. Whatever they can't take care of in the first few minutes, they get popped up to tier 2, going to be significantly more complicated. You know, these guys will work through it. They take a little bit more time. If they're unable to, more severe problems will kick up to tier 3. So sorry if I wasn't clear on that initially. So in your midterms, you're going to be pursuing other certifications. You're going to be developing your networks with other people. You know, you might be going for your security plus, you might be jumping up. You know, if you're going to be in that security field, you might go for your cybersecurity analysis or your penetration test certifications, your CISP, what have you. So you might, you know, stack up a little bit further. Then you get into advanced. You're going to be managing teams and or, you know, becoming a specialist, pursuing even further certifications, but you need to have excellent interpersonal skills at that time. Now, that's not to say you have to be the end all be all expert to be a manager. Oftentimes you will find managers may not know as much as the technicians that work under them on given subjects. That's because it's a different skill set. As a manager, you're managing resources. You're making sure you're applying those resources where they need to be at any given time and moving those pieces around. So though you may be really good at IT, you don't necessarily need to be the absolute expert.
Yeah, Kelly, excuse me. Sorry, have a difficult on my camera, so I need to log out to log in back.
Okay, that's fine.
All right, thank you.
No problem. So and remember what we said on day one. If somebody sits there and basically tells you that they are an absolute expert on IT, they're likely lying to you because the field is too big. There's too much to know for any one person to know it all. They might be exceptionally skilled, but predominantly wouldn't be the end all be all expert. Yes, Ogali. You're on mute, Pam.
Yeah, so my question is, what is the difference between tier 1, tier 2, and IT support specialist?
Well, IT support specialist tier 1 is going to be your frontline problems, easy to resolve issues, common occurrences, things like that. Tier 2 is going to be a little bit more complicated issues. Tier 3 are going to be significantly more complicated. So its level of difficulty is going to be your tier 1, tier 2, tier 3, and they're all IT support specialists.
So do tier 1, 2, and 3 and the IT support specialists do the same kind of a job?
Different complexity. Like, so tier 1 is going to be the easy, quick to solve problems. Tier 2 is going to be the mid-level problems. Tier 3 is going to be the complicated problems. So, and then your skill level of your techs goes up with each tier.
Okay, thank you.
All right. So here's some potential paths you could take through it. Base wages to get started, software developers versus computer systems and analysts, network support specialists, things like that. So again, we'll be dropping the slides in this so you can read this one in a little bit more detail if you so choose. So some of the skills we need in IT to succeed. We need certifications for the most part because they want to know that we can do what we say we can do. Certifications are a good way to prove that. That's why we start here with the A+, which is your base foundational certification that you'll be building upon. Other things you get on, you can go through networking, Cisco, certifications, which is your CCNAs and above. Security, if that's a path you wish to pursue. Although, like under CompTIA, they have the trinity of basic certs, which is your A+, Network Plus, Security Plus. And those three make up your basic certifications for IT. Technical skills, being able to operate help desk, proven customer service, showing that you're able to repair computers on a regular basis, hardware and software installation, various ways we can do that. System and network configurations, basic troubleshooting. We will be going over troubleshooting. There's a basic set of steps you need to go through. At first, it's very methodical. Okay, step 1, do this. Step 2, do this. Step 3, do this. As you work through it more and more and more, they become a lot more fluid because you already have set in your mind, after I do A, I need to do B, then I do C. Some of the stuff gets done at the same time. Obviously have a basic understanding of the applications you're going to be working with. If you're going to be working remotely, VPNs become pretty critical. And then other baseline skills you need to know, good communication skills, and verbal and non-verbal, your written and your verbal communication are pretty critical, especially in developing your network, working with your team, and also working with customers. And we typically talk to these three groups of people very differently. We talk to customers differently than we talk to coworkers. We talk to coworkers differently than we talk to managers. In both our tone, our technical lingo we use, and the way we present information. Are you a good natural problem solver? If it doesn't come natural to you, then it's a skill you're going to want to work on and develop. It's like any muscle. You got to work it to improve it. And the more you work on it, the stronger it gets. Organization, you're going to have, and multitasking, you're going to have a lot of balls in the air, juggling when you're working in IT, various problems you're trying to work. Some are long-term problems, some are short-term problems that got to get taken care of right now. We have to learn to triage these things, put them in order of importance, keep track of them, because we do not want to lose tickets. And then a month later, have somebody come back to us screaming, how come you never got back to me to be able to take care of this problem? So these are things that we need to work on and develop as we go through and develop a better degree of detail orientation. Do you have a question, Ogali? Just hanging out like this?
No, sir, I didn't raise up my hand.
Okay, I do that all the time. I just kind of hang out like this. It's cool. All right. Let's see here. So you'll have, like I said, you'll have one of these in your canvas for today. I'd like you to take some time, think about it. What kind of role do you want to be in about 5 years? What steps can you take right now? Hint, first step is completing this course and getting your A+. That's why we're all here, right? And when we give the slides, you'll be able to download that one, work through it on your own. And I think they have a place where you can upload it. So, day in the life of an IT professional. What do we think a normal day for an IT professional in a help desk position looks like? What are some of the tasks and things you'll be asked to do? Speaking in more general terms. Yes, Kevin.
I always figured it was kind of like what I used to do for a store with like during the pandemic, especially online orders and stuff. Like you would get a like a certain amount of like orders per se that came in, and it would just be like put to whoever's available. So like you would take one and then you would figure it out with that person, and then you'd be done, and then you'd get the next one.
Okay. I like it. Shamika, what do you imagine in the day in the life of an IT professional?
Troubleshooting, like helping people install like applications and stuff like that, or fixing a virus on somebody's computer.
Okay. So troubleshooting issues. Bernard.
I think it's more solving problems, resolving tickets, and troubleshooting just every day.
Resolving tickets. So we got troubleshooting, resolving tickets, problem solving. I like it. Gowdy. Oh, you're on mute now.
Yes. Usually we'll have some priorities the day what we have to do it. So we will have to just go along with that. The priorities of the day, the main priorities that we have to fix the bugs as when I was working. So we'll have these priorities, and we were applying the agile format. So with each personality, with each functionality, we have to finish that work within a few days. We have to go to that. We have to finish that functionality. So we'll be having the more tasks to do in the particular day. So that was the tasks that we have to be done in.
Okay, so you have a list of must do's.
Yes, sir.
Okay,
that's what my thinking is.
Okay, like it. Kabiru.
Yeah, to me, I think like what I have, with the camera difficulty I have on my system now, if you can see the system, I'm trying to update in the system, but so I can able to get the system. So I think something like, when you have an issue with the computer and you troubleshooting, trying to, make sure you fix the problem. So I think that is what I mean.
Okay, so helping resolve issues.
Yeah.
All right, I like it. And Modena.
I think a normal day for an IT professional in a help desk position is running around or probably sitting at the desk and then having problems being brought in, and then you have to resolve like network problems, system problems.
Okay. So like some
and-
in the moment stuff.
Yeah.
Okay.
But it's all every minute, all day. There's always something that always comes up that you have to fix.
That is true. And if there isn't, there's always something that needs to be done. Even if it's not just be fixed, you might have stuff that like, you had a 6-month time horizon on it where, like systems need to be installed over the next 6 months. So whenever you have that lull or that downtime, you need to start knocking out some of those system installs. So there's always something going on. Doris.
I was going to say the same thing. It's just basically, fixing anything with internet, anything in the medical field, anything that has to do with technology, you're going to be fixing. And breaking it down and putting it back together. Pretty much, yes, fixing.
Had a friend in the transportation industry who was always fond of saying, if it's made by man, it will eventually break down. So we've got to fix it and get it back up and running as quickly as we can. All right, we'll do one more. Ogali, and then
I think
a quick break.
sorry. I think it's all about helping customers resolving their issues, especially in terms of troubleshooting. Trying to see, when you're working in that field, like working in retail, so working as a retail in customer service is like the calls coming back and forth non-stop until you resolve the issue, like finishing with one customer and they're trying to help the other customer. So I think in a daily basis, in the IT field, I think helping the help desk, I think that is how it's going to look like calls coming back and front trying to help customer and resolving their issues.
Okay.
Thank you.
No problem. All right, with that, pause the recording. All right, so in general, day in the life of an IT professional. 4 main components. First one being triaging tickets. Interesting term, triage. 10 to 15% of your day will be spent doing nothing but triage. So what does that term mean? Essentially, it is order of importance. It is not always crystal clear what needs to be prioritized over another. We do have some criteria you can put in place, and depending on how that comes out, you can set it out in the order it needs to go. The other thing I heard mentioned is tackling tickets. Once things have been triaged, you know what's most important, you would tackle that first. So tackling essentially means resolving those tickets, getting them to completion or getting them to the people who can complete them if you are unable to. Next would be installation and testing. Contrary to popular belief, IT professionals don't just get new software and go, yay, throw it in the system and update everything and everything works hunky-dory. Unfortunately, that is not how that works. As new software comes out, updates come out, they may not interact well with the programs that you already have installed. I'm sure you've experienced this on your phone. Update comes out, you load it up on your phone, now all of a sudden your favorite apps aren't working. I want to play Candy Crush, and this new app, it just keeps crashing every time, ever since I've updated my phone. Absolutely horrible. It's ruining my day. This is my Zen moment, you know, but in a corporate environment, that can be catastrophic. If you lose the ability for operations to function, that could be a whole lot of money racking up every minute that you're down. So before we go and install something company-wide, we will create a sandbox environment for the most common systems we have, and we'll install that software in there and see if it affects any of our operational equipment. Now, in a corporate environment, it's pretty important. What do you think about in a hospital environment? Yeah. So they are very, very strict on testing, updates, and software and how it interacts with everything you have before you install it to the live environment. So that's installation and tests. And then there's the responding to in-the-moment issues. This is sometimes referred to as being hijacked. As you are walking, say, from your desk to wherever the problem is, you have somebody grab you like, hey, you're in IT, you know, and say, hey, can you help me with this problem really quick since you're right here? So that would be like an in-the-moment issue, or somebody coming into you right in front of you and saying, hey, I need help with this problem right away. It's something that's hard to push off until another time. You have, you know, to try to take care of it at the time. So you have in-the-moment issues. So these are your 4 main functions in the service specialist. So, got some questions up on your screen. I want to go through them really quick. We have now reached the interactive portion of our day. Pause the recording for a moment. We're recording. Not the smoothest segue I've ever had, but not the worst. Okay, so back to where we were here. Behavior, skill, and mindset connections. I know we haven't gone over all of that stuff yet. We're going to hit 2 of them today, one right after we get done here, and one this afternoon. So we'll probably put a pin in these questions, come back to them here in a little bit, unless anybody has any questions right now where we're at. No? See, I love when there's no question. It means that everything got absorbed 100%. You guys are just perfect on the knowledge, and you're dialed in and ready to go. Makes me feel good. Start out as experts. All right, so to kind of revise, go over what we went over, we should now kind of, to a degree, be able to describe some of the opportunities and potential pathways for the IT professionals and the value of being trained for an IT role. Remember, we're not looking to be experts right out of the gates. We're all active and continual learners within the IT field. I myself, in the field that I'm trying to get into in cybersecurity, I'm still a fledgling. I'm still learning. I'm still growing. I'm still developing. I'm still learning what I don't know. So as you grow into your fields and you learn more, and you just keep growing a little bit every day. We should also be able to explain the primary responsibilities of an IT professional and how those may play out in a given day. What are the 4 main things that an IT professional does? What's the 4 primary functions for IT service support?
Triage,
Drop it in chat.
tackle,
Triage, tackle,
installation and testing,
installation
respond
and
to the
testing,
respond to the in-moment issues.
and respond to in-moment issues. Perfect. Thank you. And lastly, we should be able to articulate the importance of getting to know the guidelines and norms within any employer. So you will hear us say a lot when we're talking about typically you do this, typically you do that. The reason we say typically is it really depends on your organization and the guidelines they have in place. So for those who didn't answer, I didn't see if we had any answers for it, the difference between a guideline and a regulation. A guideline is something set up by the organization, what its expectations are. Regulations are what come down from governing bodies. Like the state, federal government, could be OSHA. These are things that must be in place for you to be within compliance. So guidelines are self-imposed, regulations are imposed by an external governing body. And that wraps up